Hey everybody. Today I want to talk about what to do when your emotions get too big. I've talked a lot about emotions. I'm a therapist, and I often think of emotions as being useful, helpful signals that help us figure out what to do in a situation. And I encourage my clients to not be scared of them, but to be curious about them. However, sometimes our emotional responses just feel too big and overwhelming. We get flooded with emotion. And the challenge there is when we get flooded with emotion, when our feelings are way too big, either rage or panic, things like that, we tend to lose control of our behavior. Our hands come off the steering wheel in a way. And we tend to do things we later regret, things that have consequences. Think about if you've ever gotten really angry at someone and started yelling at them and saying really hurtful things that you didn't even mean, but it felt like you weren't in control of the situation at that moment. Same with anxiety. A panic attack is a great example where we are flooded with anxiety and we don't feel like we're in control. So, what I want to talk about today is what you can do with those and give you some helpful tools. What I'm going to share with you today comes from the work of dialectical and behavioral therapy, or DBT. DBT is a type of therapy. It is a great set of skills for dealing with strong emotions, working with emotions, and feeling effective when you're in challenging situations. So, a therapy term that we often use is called the window of tolerance. If you think about it, it's sort of like that zone where you might be upset, you might be sad or anxious or angry, but you still feel you're in control. You have your hands on the steering wheel, you're in the driver's seat. And that doesn't mean that it's pleasant. It could be really unpleasant, but you feel like you're able to tolerate the feelings and have some mindfulness to choose actions that feel effective. So I think that's a good thing to think about because sometimes we get out of the window of tolerance. Now, it could be below where we really flatten out and get super depressed and feel numb and kind of just collapse. Or it could be super activated, things like rage or panic. Either way, getting us back into the window of tolerance is really important. Now, here's something really important to take away. When you are flooded with emotion, when you're outside of that window of tolerance, talking won't help. Telling yourself to stay calm or trying to talk yourself out of it won't be super effective. Think about when someone tells you to calm down when you're really agitated, it doesn't work. Instead, what I suggest is you use your body to help regulate your emotions, and that can be a much better way to do this. And so in DBT, we have a set of skills called TIPP skills, TIPP, and I'm going to break those down for you. But TIPP skills are about tipping your body chemistry, about getting your body chemistry to shift so that you can regulate your nervous system and come back into that window where you have a little more agency and you can actually make choices. So, I'm going to go ahead and break them down for you. They're pretty straightforward, and I am writing a blog post where you can read more about these. The T in TIPP stands for temperature. Now, this is a really cool one. We have a lot of reflexes in our body. If you go to the doctors and they tap your knee and your leg will kick forward, that's a reflex. A reflex that we have is called the diver response. If you dive into cold water, like in an ocean, your body will start to slow down. Your body will see this as a challenging, dangerous situation and will start slowing down to preserve systems in your body. So your heart rate's going to drop, your brain will slow down. Well, I'm not advocating you jump into a cold ocean unless you want to. However, using cold water can be really helpful. Now, one of the techniques I share with my clients that is a DBT skill is if you feel super agitated, super overwhelmed, super anxious, super angry, whatever, get those gel packs that you keep in the freezer for muscle soreness, or a bag of peas, something cold from the freezer, wrap it in a towel, and put it on your face right here, right on your temples and your forehead, and hold that for 30 seconds. Take it off, see how you feel. You can reapply it. You can also splash cold water on your face. Some people will take a cold shower, ice water, anything that will get your body to react to the cold temperature can help slow you down. And that is a really great one. And it's a reflex. So it's not like you have to make it happen. It will happen automatically. That can be a really good tool for when things are really overwhelming. The I in TIPP is intense exercise. And this one's really good if your doctor's cleared you to exercise and all of that, and you can work out and stuff. Really intense exercise that gets your heart rate up, that gets you sweating, that gets your breathing pretty heavy, can be really helpful here. Anything. It can be burpees, jumping jacks, doing a sprint, any kind of exercise that gets your heart rate up. But what that does is it helps burn off the stress hormones. It also helps slow things down in your system. Again, make sure you can do this, clear it with your doctor. But for a lot of people, I will tell them, you don't need to go to the gym if that's not convenient, but go do something right now that will get you sweating and get your heart rate up. The P's, there are 2 P's. The first one is paced breathing. Before I tell you that one, I want to tell you a little bit more about the nervous system. So we have 2 parts to the nervous system. Now it's way more complex than what I'm explaining, but just on a high level. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system activates you. It's what says if you hear a strange sound or in the middle of the night you see something, it activates your nervous system. It gets your heart rate up. It says, hey, pay attention, wake up, be careful. There's something dangerous. You need to act. So the sympathetic nervous system will activate you. The parasympathetic nervous system lets you know the danger is gone. We're okay now. Everything's calm. And the diver response and intense exercise both activate the parasympathetic nervous system, letting your body know there is no threat. We're okay. Come back down. Paced breathing does this by working with the exhalation. You already kind of know this intuitively probably, but when you inhale, it's very activating. Think about if you're sleepy, you yawn. When you yawn, you're sucking in a bunch of oxygen to wake yourself up a little bit. We're not doing that here. Instead, we're going to lengthen and deepen the exhalation. So a very simple paced breathing that will activate the parasympathetic system and bring you down back into that window of tolerance is to breathe in normally and breathe out really slowly. Now don't force it. Make it comfortable, but whatever you can do to slow down and lengthen your exhalation. And you keep doing several cycles of that until you start to feel your brain and your heart and your body slow down a bit. So that's paced breathing. There are lots of relaxation breathing techniques out there, and you can go find them, videos on them or how to do them. The main thing I want to encourage is if you feel like you're overwhelmed or flooded with emotions, lengthening your exhalation is what's going to really help. Finally, the other P in TIPP is progressive muscle relaxation. This one's been around for years, but what it does is it helps activate that parasympathetic nervous system. It helps bring down our heart rate, slow us down. And it sounds like what it is, progressive muscle relaxation. With this, you can start at your head and go to your feet. You can go from your feet to your head, but you are going to tense and hold and release all of your muscle groups. So, for example, with your shoulders, you could tense them, hold them for a count of 5, and release them. If you start with your face, then you do your shoulders, do your arms, do your chest, your abs, all the way down. That will bring in a sense of relaxation and calm. It works really well. You can go online and find guided videos that will walk you through this. It can be really short, where you do just sort of big muscle groups and work through your body, or you can do really small muscle groups and take your time with this. But the progressive muscle relaxation will also slow things down for you and give you a little space to come back into that window of tolerance. So those are the TIPP skills. Temperature, the diver response, intense exercise, paced breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation. What I suggest is you try these out. And the one that will help you the most is the one that you find beneficial and that you actually use. So don't wait to use these when you're in a crisis. Instead, try them out and see which ones you might want to practice. And then you need to practice them. One thing that we want to do is start to build, a neural network in our brain that when we do this, it starts to signal to our brain, oh, we're slowing down now, we're calming down. One quick thing. When I offer these skills, it may seem like I'm saying, ignore the situation at hand. Instead, do some breathing or go put some cold compresses on your face. The TIPP skills are not avoidance. They're not saying we need to just avoid what's going on or not respond to it. Instead, what we're saying is, I'm not effective right now. I am not in control. I'm not in the driver's seat. I won't be effective until I'm back in that window of tolerance. Then, once I feel somewhat calmer and I'm kind of back in my thinking brain, then I can address the situation. So the TIPP skills aren't about avoidance. It's actually about getting us into a headspace or our bodies into a place where we can actually address what's going on effectively. So, just to close, I, again, wrote a blog post about all of these. And if you want to read more about TIPP skills, there's a lot online about them. DBT is a great resource for skills like these. My only thing to encourage you is to practice them and find one that works for you. Practice it when you're actually calm so you get a sense of how it works. And that will also help you remember, oh, hey, I can use this when I'm actually really activated. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this is helpful.